All
And
right.
it's
we'll
just
get the meeting
us, huh?
started. Do we have any minutes, Ellen? I think we did them last week when you were on.
Okay.
So those should be good. All right, Bear, what's happening? Corbin Road first on the list.
Yeah, we're just making everybody happy.
We will, we'll get happy.
It'll be better. I mean, we learned a lot during this project. We learned a lot of what not to do or how to do it. And then again, I don't know that we're gonna use that mill again for quite a while, so. But it still taught us a lot about the product. One, never take for granted that the guy running the machine knows everything that he's doing. Because we kept asking questions and getting responses that sounded right. And then by Wednesday of last week, we finally got him to go faster, because we're like, dude, we gotta get this done. And then the moisture got better.
Mhm.
And we're like, this is just too wet. He's like, that's what I always run it at.
Hmm.
So apparently his machine was not calibrating the moisture output for the speed of the machine.
Hmm.
So for the first 5-6 days, it was putting out way too much material. So we had a lot of mud and muck problems we were dealing with, which was just slowing up the whole process, but. We gotta kind of go back in and redo, like just add a little bit to the top and re-surface plate most of it. There's one section on Corbin from where the new bus stop is to about Rifle Road, where we finally tried something different, and that section right now is in fantastic shape. It's minimal dust even before we wet it. It's holding together. There's a little bit of marbling and unraveling on the edges, just with some loose gravel from the top, but it's pretty dang good. The road in general, I mean, it's way.
I thought it was
smoother
all
than
pretty
was.
good, actually.
I'm glad you think that, because I think it could use a lot of improvement. It wasn't up to our standards. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a gravel road, you know, it's,
yeah, and that's their biggest concern, and I get that. I understand the frustrations with the resident. We didn't make this as a light-hearted decision when we decided to try it. But I guarantee that road, even when it was muddy and not great, and it was still smoother than the road was before.
and we're gonna cure its problems, you know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
So it was
so.
an experiment. This is our first big road we've done with it, so we gotta.
We can see the problems as they,
And I get that they're frustrated with certain aspects. One, we're not done with the project. Yesterday, we had a little bit more dust than anticipated in the morning. But we were extremely shorthanded. I had one guy on vacation and 3 guys call in. One was sick, one had a dog and ran over and killed, and one had a daughter in the hospital. So I mean, it's not like I can't tell these guys not to come to work.
Right.
So we were making do with what we had. We got a couple more guys back today, so we should be okay. But it'll take a few more days of working it, and we're working on the upper section, kind of letting that lower section set up a bit more. As we watered it or added a little bit more throughout the day yesterday on that lower section, just let traffic hammer it. You can really tell where the tire tracks were. It went in really tight. So if we can get people to quit driving in the tire tracks and
Spread it out a
let
little
the
bit.
traffic help us out, it would make a big help, but. Once we get up through Wicks with the portion we're doing with just the grader, we'll go back down and add some more to the surface and hit it with the rollers again, and a couple spots we gotta touch up with the grader, but. Hopefully by that time we start seeing some moisture. So,
Have you reached out to your cohorts in park where they're getting good luck
a
with
little
that?
bit,
Yeah.
yeah, the moisture, and I've talked to the dust pods in park, and they said, you know, sometimes you get a little bit of dust is to be expected. It
Mhm.
shouldn't be dust clouds.
Right.
And the only section that was really bad, like really bad dust, was the lower section from the dump to the bike or the school parking, and then up by where the water pump is there by Zidnick's. That part unraveled pretty bad for some reason on the top, so we gotta rework that. But it's just getting that moisture right and getting the rollers to do their job the right way. I mean, we've had 3 or 4 rollers going on it. That's the biggest key, and it's just getting the guys to understand the process of how to roll it and when,
Get
and
in there.
making sure we're not letting it get too dry before we're putting the roller on. And there's a very thin line or time frame window between
Too wet.
too wet that it's sticking to the roller versus too dry that it's drying out.
Gotcha.
So it's been a challenge, but we're gonna get through it, and
and there's some dust, you know, but would be less dust if they slow down.
Yeah, and that'd be one thing that I think we need to pull the 45-mile-an-hour signs down for a while and just keep it at 35, because I come through at 35 and there was no dust picking up.
I almost make no wake,
Yeah.
at 35, there's no dust behind me at all,
There's no need to do 45 on that road, even when it was asphalt, there was no need to be going that fast. Maybe it'll slow people.
And given the
coming
chance to
in.
drive much faster than 45.
And regardless if we were going to re-chip seal or pave, this was something that had to happen anyways, because that road was so
It's done
bad
for-
and
it's done for.
rutted and just in such bad shape that the road had to be milled and started over anyways.
agree.
So if we can get into next spring and it's solid, or in 2 springs and it's solid and we're like, hey, this road's really holding it together, then we can entertain the possibility of chip sealing it again and have some confidence.
Or
that we can get
millings
it.
off the interstate or.
I'm not holding my breath for millings.
aren't you, again?
Not in the next 10
No,
years.
there's nothing on the horizon for that project, so.
And the passing lane by Jeff City
No,
is
it's
just
bad.
beat you up.
Well, and the flats across here too, just across the Boulder Flats in the passing lane, you can tell if you're in a heavier duty truck, it's bad.
Mhm.
So. I'm sympathetic to the residents up there, but at the same time, we had no other course of action. And we're
No,
doing
the road
best-
was shot.
Doing the best we can with our available resources and.
In fact,
When
it's
it's
worked
done-
out to be a better process of redoing the road than I
Yeah,
ever visualized, actually.
when you go look at Spring Street and Depot, those are holding together fantastic. I mean, they don't see the near the traffic, but they're good roads. I mean, I drove up and down them a couple times this week and hardly any dust picked up, and you're always gonna see a little bit of puff off the surface, but nothing like a dust cloud like some of these residents have stated.
Oh, I think it's gonna be fantastic.
And I'm really impressed with Depot up on that decomposed granite that's holding together really well. It's not washboarding out so far, So we'll get through this and get it done, and give them some time to get used to it, and we'll be
So when
fine.
it remilled that asphalt or those millings or those
Yeah,
chip seal, boy, nice stuff, really lays up.
yeah.
What's it gonna do when it gets wet? Like when we start getting rain and rain?
It shouldn't, you might get a little bit of,
Film.
a little, like some spray mud on top, but nothing that's gonna be, it shouldn't be goopy, it shouldn't be like bogs and.
Okay,
Cause if it's as hard as it is, I mean, you can go ahead with a shovel and you're not making a scratch.
Hmm.
That water should just shed off since we've got a good crown to it, and it should just run off and it shouldn't. It's got plenty of good drainage on that road. So we shouldn't have a mud issue. I mean, you'll get some dirty cars, but it's not gonna be a safety issue. So,
okay.
That'll be the issue.
oh yeah,
Dirty,
Already had
dirty
one lady
cars.
say,
Oh,
I
yeah.
paved my driveway, that was a waste of money.
Yeah, dirty cars, that'll be a problem.
One person asked me up on Spring Street up there towards the cemetery, did that change anything as for the way the water or flow comes down or something? Cause I'm not there, I didn't have eyes on any of this.
Put the ditches in again.
yeah, we reestablished some ditches so the water.
They're
wasn't
saying
supposed
it changed something, I don't know, I have no idea. I mean, it's one of the individuals that lives there.
They're complaining
Takes
about
care-
it?
Yeah, they were complaining. Get me out there at the fair.
Well, it might be the same one that refused to let us put in a culvert because he didn't want to maintain it. I'm not sure if it is or not.
No, it probably, he doesn't live there, he lives right in Jeff City, south across from the bar.
Okay. Cause yeah, we re-ditched everything from Depot down along Spring Street, put in a couple culverts for some of the residents that we had to have a little bit deeper
Right.
ditch so that they could get through there, cause we had some old culverts out there, and there was one that absolutely refused to let us put in a culvert, and I said, that's fine, but we got to put in a ditch. Some of them wanted bigger culverts, and I said, no, we're doing more than we have to now.
Maybe that's what we're.
But as far as the drainage goes, it's not washing across the road right now, which is what we were
Yeah,
trying to get to.
exactly.
So
Okay.
there's still some work that needs to be done.
Oh, and
up
I
there long
understand,
term
and
for
that's
the
what I
drainage,
told
but
You know, you're not done.
yeah, in general, a couple of the other residents mentioned how much better it was draining, so.
We haven't got any rain.
Yeah, they
We've
got
had
a couple surprising
Did they?
rains up there.
We've had a couple out of the blue, like, hey, 5% chance and you get half an inch.
Yeah.
Not enough to be goalie washers, but. Yeah, and of course, everybody wants their roads graded. It's just getting to be that time of year, and once we get through this, we'll be out hitting all the roads in full force. as much as possible.
You think you're gonna mix in dust pods with all those, with the water in those gradings, or?
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be worth our while. We're trying to figure out how to, I guess, expedite the project, make it more efficient, so we don't have to have 5 guys there to do it.
Mhm.
But, you know, we got maybe a mile done yesterday with the blade, and it was smooth and hard and right, and I gotta go see what it looks like today, but.
Do you have to roll it, or?
Oh, yeah, you gotta roll that.
Gotta
cat
roll
out. Yeah, I mean, we had the walk and roll on the machine, the rubber tire, and 2 steel drum rollers going on it, cause
Where'd you go
compaction.
yesterday?
Just heading towards Wicks on Wicks
Oh,
Road.
what did you?
We started at the mine road and working our way, we're gonna go all the way through the town of Wicks, just past the bus turnaround to where that last residence is, so that we can help with that dust the best we can.
Okay, yeah, that was another complaint. Yep, they told me you're not done, so. I know.
Well,
Pays
and
attention.
I would remind anybody, we get a lot of complaints from Wicks about dust. We need to and I've reminded them that we don't do dust control for the sole purpose of dust. We do it for the road.
Right.
If they want it for dust, they can buy it, they can pay for it, but we don't do it for dust. I had sent, so there was a gentleman that uses Wicks Road quite a bit, it complained to DEQ again, about a month or 2. I went up, checked it, you could still see the mag from the previous year, there was no dust. Called DEQ back, sent him some pictures, he's like, yeah, I don't know what he's complaining about, that looks fantastic. And so I talked to the gentleman about it, and he's like, well, it's not in Wicks, it says stretch between the cattle guard and Wicks. We've never dust oiled that, we never will dust oil that. He thought that we should be, but
Wonder if that's the same person.
probably,
I'll get with you, just so I know.
yeah. So, but other than that, that's pretty much all the guys are working on. I do have Brian and Buck had to go back down to Sawmill again today. That beaver dam was back Thursday when I went and looked.
Really?
We were gonna get down there yesterday, but being shorthanded, we weren't able to. I told them to take a little extra time and try and get
Everything.
all of it out, plus the overflow culvert cleaned out as best we can. And then we've got our grate that when we have a little more time, we'll get down there and get that installed, and hopefully that'll eliminate that issue.
We have to skin that one, huh?
I'm ready to make a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to get with the game warden again to see
Federal
what the
trap
process is. Trapping is their first choice, but they said if it's occurring where this one has been, that they can issue us a permit for extermination. But that may be our best option on this one, because it's every 2 years we're down there dealing with this beaver. If not more often than that. I'd rather not, but we're gonna try some other avenues to alleviate. the problem.
Right.
Does FWP relocate him, or is that up to us?
I'd have to follow up with him on that, because I don't know, like, when I asked him about, he says you can trap it, and I said, well, then what? And it kind of ended the conversation.
Oh, okay.
So,
I think they could catch him in a live trap and ship him somewhere else, but
yeah,
maybe too much effort for a beaver.
yeah. I just need a signature from you, Mr. Commissioner. This is an ongoing nuisance. This is for the Schedule A for Helena Forest.
Oh, okay.
It's just the financial side of the co-op. They put like $40,000, like $80,000 into having us do a bunch of work on that Warm Springs Strawberry Butte. I'm not sure where they came up with that number, because the original was for us to go and grade it for a couple of days. And now they're wanting to have us do all this other work, and I'm like, we don't do that for you. The other side of it is I had reached out in March or April, whenever we redid the BBRD Schedule A, to set up a meeting to renew the Helena. And they says, oh, we don't need to do that. Yes, we do every year. I said it expires in July, and they've not wanted or cared to get together to renew. So our Schedule A with Helena is expired again.
So this isn't really in force here then?
And I'm not sure if they're just wanting to get it approved, and then they're gonna pay us out, hoping we'll get up there to do the work, but.
Okay.
The original conversation or the whole conversation with the Schedule A up there, it was if we had time, we would go blade it. And it would be, I think we agreed on like $8,000 for a couple days worth of grading. So,
Warm Springs Road maintenance, okay.
Yeah, that's the big one.
so. I can't get a straight answer on what they're wanting to achieve up there, like what the plan ultimately is.
It's kind of always been that way.
Yeah, Kathy's been great to work with. She's usually pretty responsive, but she's always not hands-on involved in these either, so she has to go through some channels and she's voiced some issues with dealing with getting answers as well. But we are still waiting to set up a meeting with her and one of their engineers, I think, in September to discuss the residents getting the road maintenance plan permit or something so that they can do their own maintenance.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but. And then just finally, we got our paint striping is scheduled for tomorrow. They're supposed to be meeting up with us about 10 o'clock. They're anticipating being able to paint it all in one day.
In the snow?
Yeah. So I gotta get about 4 more roads marked out. Like
Can they do it when it's wet?
Yeah.
They can do it when wet,
Oh, it's gonna snow?
but they're saying snow.
No, it's not gonna snow. It's supposed to be like
Colder
70.
weather warning.
There's a red flag.
That's what I got.
Front's pushing through tonight.
Supposed to be cooler tomorrow,
Yeah.
60s, but
It's supposed
I
to
think
be,
down, I think they said 6,000 feet or something.
no.
hopefully it's not too wet, because if it's wet, they can't paint it.
Yeah, I don't know how much moisture we're gonna get out. It's just supposed to get cold.
4% chance,
4%? Perfect.
65, that's perfect weather.
And then it warms up again the day after.
Mhm.
Yeah, back up to 85 by the weekend, so. Um. Yeah, so we're doing that, like I said, meeting about 10. I've been out the last 3 days, basically just putting tabs and marks down for them on these roads. Definitely got my steps in, so. That's all I got for right now. Lots of work for us left to do this summer, we're just trying to fit it all in. We still got some potholes to do, especially down at Whitehall. We're waiting on parts for our patch machine. I was gonna try and get some work done on the Carty Creek this fall. I don't know how that's looking yet, but
Did you reply to Joe on the fencing or whatever up there he sent last? week?
I'll double check. I have hardly been in my office since we started dust plots, so I've
Yeah.
just been trying to reply to things from my phone or tablet. I'm not sure which ones I have or haven't.
So he was saying just use the money for the fencing or whatever, get the fencing done this spring or this fall.
I think you wanted to get the fencing scheduled and then use the remaining funds instead of buying culverts and the other items that were originally on the grant to buy, to pay for the hard surfacing for the creek.
Oh, that's right, yeah, that's right.
So I will double check, see if I send him something, and if not, I'll get with him. I got a few other emails. I got to go back to the office and respond to some people, catch up on some stuff, and then I'll be heading back north.
Sounds good. Did you have a chance to look at that old Alhambra? That's not a priority whatsoever.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be bladed, and when we get to that area.
Is there enough material there, or is it just a big hole?
Well, it's just a lot of holes. I mean, there's no drainage on it, so it just sits, water sits there and people drive through and create big holes.
Knock it out of there, yeah.
Yeah. It's not. And we can just go cut it and make it as good as we can, which is what we usually do. But, I definitely can use it. If you do get any, we shouldn't get calls. But if after we strike, you get anybody from Old Alhambra calling and complaining that we didn't do the entire road. So the old stripe stopped about half a mile before you get into the houses in the narrow part. I extended it all the way down to where the houses started, about another half a mile through a bad corner. But from there, the road gets too narrow to really stripe it. You're gonna have really narrow lanes. And it was never striped prior to when we chip sealed it. So just in case somebody says, why'd you stop there? It's just because the road's too narrow.
Okay, right where the houses kind of
Yeah,
encroach up on the road and.
Where the signs show up, yeah.
yeah.
Did Tim Leahy ever reach out to you?
No, I'll follow up with him again though.
Okay. You want me to call him?
No, like I said, I mean, he's on my list of people I need to
Okay,
reach out to
okay.
today, so.
I know you've been busy, I just didn't know. Where was that?
Yeah, I'd sent another text to Jeremiah and I haven't heard back. I don't know. They're supposed to be down on Boulder River a week or two ago and they still haven't made it up there.
Hmm.
Steve said,
Yeah,
fire season, they're playing with their fire. Up on- What is that, the Ratio Mountain, I guess?
I'm not sure where he's at.
Ratio,
I know he's been pulled back and forth between his roads and the fire stuff quite a bit this summer, so they're way behind schedule.
I think their maintenance guy would be doing roads unless they're pulling the equipment off of the
Yeah,
fire.
they're pulling it off for fire, and they're doing fire roads.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
We start a fire up there.
absolutely. I wasn't there, but absolutely. This is gonna wait till the wind is right to blow it over to Basin Creek and Cataract as well.
There you go. Get those roads done at the same time.
I just wanna get all the down timber out of there.
That's true. That's true.
I've seen too many elk falling on their face trying to run away from you because they can't get through the timber.
Mhm. All right, you guys got anything else for Bear? No? We'll shut that up.
Kim left this for you, Derek.